think about what lights you up. When you think about fire and you think about wands, I want you to think about your spark, your passions, your creativity. That is your fire sender, okay? That is for those that are more spiritual, that is your sacral, baby. That is what you are creating. That's your solar plexus. These cards light you up and they move you forward. You're passionate.
Hi, I'm Ashleigh, and welcome to the Big Crystal Energy Podcast. This is a place for the crystal curious, arcane-minded, and everything in the in-between. In this podcast, we will jump down the rabbit hole into the metaphysical, esoteric, occult, and spiritual realms. Nothing is off limits. I'm a mom, wife, an orthopedic physician assistant by day, and a seeker of all things spooky and kooky by night. I've spent my entire career in the medical field, but have always felt like there is more out there, and this is where we will explore together. We will have conversations with crystal healers, rock hounds, artists, musicians, spiritual coaches, magic makers, and anything woo-woo that strikes our fancy. Let's take our spiritual journey to the next level. So grab a crystal, pour a cup of tea. It's time to feel the big crystal energy. Welcome back to Big Crystal Energy, where we explore all things crystals, magic, and reclaiming your power. I'm Ashleigh, and today we're talking with someone whose work has completely shifted how I look and think about tarot. Samantha Rose Hicks is the author of Talking with the Tarot, Conversations with Your 78 New Best Friends, published by Llewellyn. She's a tarot reader, Reiki master, astrologer, certified holistic coach, and self-described grief alchemist. But really, what drew me to her work is this. Instead of teaching you to memorize the tarot card meanings like you're studying for a test, she teaches you to have actual conversations with your cards. If you've ever felt intimidated by tarot, or you have a deck collecting dust on your shelf, this conversation is for you. Samantha, welcome to Big Crystal Energy.
Goodness, thank you so much for having me. I am so excited to be here.
Yes, this is so exciting. And you are my first guest to ever talk about tarot. So this is really fun.
What an honor. Thank you.
I
Oh
was just waiting for just the right person. And you are the one, girl.
Oh my gosh. Blush. Thank you.
You're so cute. I literally feel your joy through the screen, and that brings me so much joy.
Well, thank you. I try to be a very positive, sunshiny, girly pop. That's my nickname, is Sunshine Sammy. So it's just the vibe. It's just the vibe.
Sunshine Sammy. That's so cool. I think a lot of times people think that people that are like us are dark and whatever. And yeah, maybe we carry we like wearing black, or we carry that kind of thing. But I'm a very happy, silly person too. So just because you're witchy doesn't mean you have to be witchy,
Oh yeah, I couldn't be a cool, witchy, dark, noir person if I wanted to. I'm too yay, let's go.
I love it. So before we dive into the conversational method, tell us, who is Sam?
Oh my goodness.
What's your background?
Well, I am currently it always changes. Sam is an evolution. I am constantly evolving and changing. I started on the internet in the ether as the Warm-Hearted Witch. That was the brand that I poured my whole heart into. It was very resonant of my practice. And I'm just a very witchy person. In general, I grew up in a very accepting, queer, eclectic household. So my moms were very whatever you want to be girl. They did not care. I was a drama queen, constantly dressing up in costumes. They thought I was going to be either a lawyer, a mortician, or an actress. They couldn't decide, which is what? My dad, he was Saponi, Indigenous, the people of the High Plains in North Carolina and Virginia. So it was really weird. I grew up in I have a very weird origin story of growing up in my native tribe, but then coming home to my mom's and being in the Atlanta queer community. So I just could always be the awkward weirdo, and it was amazing. And it's been so fun stepping into that space as an adult now. I don't know,
Wow,
like
that is
I
so interesting.
thank you. It's been weird. As an adult though, I was corporate HR. So that was even weirder. That just kind of how that happened was really random. My sister works for a corporate company in Atlanta, and it was absolutely nepotism. I got hired because I was her sister and I was bubbly and fun. And they were like, "You have to be on our team." And I was like, "Sure." So I was corporate HR for a really long time in the recruitment area. And then on the side, I was just doing like witchy, crystal girly activities. And it, happened that one day I just decided that I really wanted to commit to my spiritual practice. I wanted to commit to my witchery lifestyle. And I'm very privileged that my husband was just like supportive of whatever. He's like, go do you, girl. And yeah, the warm hearted witch was born. And now it's just my name and really just focusing on hosting community and being an author, which has been weird. But right now I'm in my author and community hosting era.
Yes, own it. That's amazing. That's so, what an interesting, like, cool upbringing, like with your moms and then the whole side with your dad. Like, that's probably just made you like so, I mean, it just makes your story so, different than a lot of people. So I think that is just fun to tap into, like growing up with such like a colorful, potentially like background that, is not necessarily traditional, but like that was just you. That was you. That's what you knew.
Yes, it's made my practice one in a million, I think, because I'm always one foot on earth and one foot in spirit. So I can like vibe with the spiritualist and like the high vibe girlies. I love that, like the crystal girlies. And then at the same time, I can like go out and be very rooted in a drum circle in the earth. And I like to have a good blend of both. And my upbringing has everything to do with that.
Wow. That's just so did you grow up in the area right like where you live now?
So my tribe is in North Carolina, and that's where my father's side is from. So we would go and spend the entire summer in North Carolina. Like as soon as summer hit, my mom would ship us off to my dad's family, and we would be there until we had to come back home for school. And so I grew up in Georgia and in North Carolina. And even when the day I graduated high school, I even moved to North Carolina and lived there for about 5 years. Um, and even more like was rooted in my tribe, and I met my husband up there, and then we shipped him back here to when I moved back to Georgia,
You shipped your husband
because
back?
yeah, I shipped him with me. He came with me.
That's
What
so
a stalker. No, I, my main job for the past 15 years was being a caretaker to my mom. So that was mainly what I did. If I wasn't working, I was taking care of her. So he came when I said I had to come back home to take care of her. He came with me. So it was really fun to grow up in both states with different cultures for sure.
So you made the change. I was reading that you kind of made the major switch around 2018 from like the corporate world into your kind of evolution of what your current life looks like. Okay. So you've been on this path for a little while now.
For a little while now, which is weird because at first, when you get in this space, there's this weird feeling of inadequacy. Like, I don't know if that was just me and my people pleasing experience, but I felt like I wasn't good enough or that I hadn't been practicing long enough publicly. Even though I'd been practicing and been spiritual and witchy for forever. I mean, at age 13, I brought home the solitary witch and my mom didn't blink an eye. You know what I mean? Like it's been in a part of me for forever, but there is this weird pressure to like put a date on like when you debuted into the public, right? And into the space. And mine has always been very just if I don't know, I don't know and I'll learn. You know what I mean? And that's been to me the best approach to it. I started when I was helping my friend at a psychic fair in Roswell,
Mm.
Georgia. We worked at the same company and she had a crystal jewelry business and she needed help vending. And I was like, sure, let me go to this it used to be called the Blue Barn Psychic Fair in Georgia. And it was one of the largest psychic fairs. And it just cracked me wide open to like being public about my life, about my practice. And it's what really started who I am today as a tarot reader and as an author, was that really old blue barn with 30 psychics stuffed inside. It was incredible.
Wow, that sounds so cool. But I think you're right. I mean, I feel that way a lot because when I started my podcast, I was like, well, who am I to even start a podcast? Because I haven't been outwardly practicing in this way for a long time. A lot of people didn't even know anything about this side of me because I didn't really share it. And then it was like, hello, but I mean, to be honest, I just felt like you have to start before you're ready. You're never going to be 100% ready. And so this podcast is a very much like, I'm not the authority on everything. This is like a come with me and learn kind of situation. That's why I love to bring guests on, because everybody teaches me things. And then I can share that knowledge with others, because I think there's a lot of newbies out there and we feel something, but we don't really know necessarily how to put it all together. And that's why it's been so fun. And I'm just kind of like starting messy, and I figure out things as I go.
Yes,
And
that's the best advice out there, is to do it
yeah,
messy. To do it messy, to be curious, like approach everything with curiosity, because that's what makes it fun. Like, I am only Samantha Rose Hicks one time, and I want to have the most fun I possibly can. I want to have the most magical life that I can have this round, and it's going to be messy, and I am so excited about it.
I
Like,
love that.
removing the pressure.
It's so true. I get it every day. Like I get up and I'm just like, okay, like what are we going to do today? And it feels so good. Like before I really committed to this path, I didn't feel that way. And now I'm just like every day, even if it's my regular job, I'm like, how can I make this day magical even in my regular work? And it affects everybody around me. Like everybody in my world can feel it. And maybe they don't really believe in the path that I'm following, but I'm like, yeah, but you feel it, right? So there has to be
Mhm.
something to it.
Yeah, the influence of joy.
Love it. Okay. So somewhere in this journey, there was a conversation that changed your life, the conversation that inspired your whole conversational method. Can you tell us about that story?
Oh my goodness, it's so funny because I know out there, to this woman, it was just a random Saturday for her. She probably doesn't even know who I am. And I don't know her name, but she was so impactful on my journey. I was at the Blue Barn Psychic Fair. It's now called the Gloria Parker Psychic Fair because the founder did pass away. And she changed the game in Georgia. She changed the game of psychics and the authenticity and the openness of being a psychic in the South. And I was at the Blue Barn, and there was stairs to go up. So she had psychics on the bottom floor, like the foundation floor, and then she had an upstairs. And it was a house, like it was a barn house. And I was in the stairwell trying to stay away from everybody. And I was just not prepared for the amount of people. Like, this was a very small space, tons of people. I was overstimulated. And I was just trying to self-soothe. And I was like, I had my tarot deck. It was the first tarot deck I ever had. I carried it with me everywhere, called the Goddess Tarot. And it's like an older deck that's so beautiful. But I was like shuffling my cards, and, I was just trying to just calm myself down, honestly, and dissociate probably. And she came up, and she had just asked me like, oh, hey, like, can you pull a card for me? And I have a very heightened sense of smell. And so like I could smell her, and she smelled so incredible. Like, I love a good perfume. And so like she smelled like just like flowers, like walking bouquet of flowers. And I was like, yeah, like I'm not a psychic. Like, I'm just helping my friend. Like, I gave the whole spiel, the panic, right? Of like, I don't want to like step on anybody's toes. And she was like, oh no, like, pull a card for me. And I did. And the first card that came out was, I can't remember if it was the Empress or if it was the Three of Wands. I couldn't remember. I think it was the Empress. And so I was like telling her about the Empress, and I was giving her very textbook this is what this means. Not my interpretation of it. I was like, this is the definition, right? And she was not visibly showing that she was pregnant, but she had like gestured that she was pregnant, and she was like, well, that lines up. And I needed that confirmation because I had been reading for friends and family, and they're always so nice and supportive and being like, yeah, you go, girl. Or, but in the back of your mind, you're like, I know too much about them. And that's why this is coming up, right? So to have a stranger be like, yeah, that's right. Like I vibe with that. I was like, this is real. I'm doing it. And then I pulled another card, which I think was the Three of Wands. And I had told her about, to me, the definition, right? I was like going over the definitions of the Three of Wands. And she was like, oh yeah, that resonates. We are going to move, we're actually moving homes because I'm pregnant. And I was like, oh my God. And I went to like continue to kind of back out of being like, well, like if you're not moving, it can also mean this. And she was like, oh, like, at this fair, they would like call your name if it was your turn, and like her name got called, and she was like, thank you. And she went to sit with like an actual professional psychic at the time. And that was all I needed. That was all I needed. I was so happy, and it felt so validating that I literally went up to Gloria after, and I was like, I've never done this before. To like, as a professional, like I'm not a professional, can I be a student here? And she was like, yeah, pay the money, sit down. Like it would like, so it was every month, the last weekend of every month, it was like I was there being very open that I was just learning, and it was the best experience I could have ever had becoming like stepping into this industry, because it was such a popular fair, and it really taught me how to read tarot for hundreds and thousands of different types of people. Just, it was incredible.
So that fair still exists, but it's just under a different name now. So do you guys have like a pretty decent community there in Atlanta then?
Huge. Yeah, we have a huge one. We really do. We have, and I have been blessed to be able to network with so many people that now I am like a walking community, like Rolodex. So I'll meet someone and they're like, oh, I'm interested in this. I'm like, oh, I have a person. Let me introduce you, get you guys connected. And it's been a lot of fun, like building, I built my own psychic fair at my own job that I used to work at, which is a metaphysical store in Marietta. That fair is still going. We have a fair at my current the business that I currently have my tarot office out of, which is like the weirdest shop ever. It's a tattoo shop and a cult shop. It's so weird, but my best friends run it. So wow. It's so cool. It's so cool. When people talk about my tattoos, I'm like, I'm blessed. My best friends are artists. It's not, don't worry, I have zero talent. So yeah, Atlanta has a huge mystical community. It's just getting involved and finding out where it is.
So, now, since you're my first tarot reader guest, and I know probably most of my audience is somewhat familiar with tarot, but for those of them that are sort of new to it, can you kind of just give us like a little overview of the tarot, just to like a brief high level overview of like what the tarot is?
So the tarot is, in its origins, a card game. The most, you know what? I'm going to put a disclaimer. The most acceptable origins is a card game. But what makes it different is that it highlights the figures of the time, the influential figures of the time. And as it evolved from a card game, it turned into a system of divination, divination is a tool to help you divine the future. Okay. So, and then it really turned into this now from a system of divination to a system of magic. And then from magic, now it has a more therapeutic and modern reconstruction as a reflection tool, which is possibly one of my second favorite uses of it, to be honest. My book is very much more reflection. It's a tool for reflection versus a tool for magic, because I find that is such a more approachable use of it for those that are weary of magic, that are scared of divination, when they can view the tarot through a lens of this is a tool to help you reflect your life, help you reflect on choices, help you do inner introspection, they're more likely to pick up their deck, right? But it's evolved in such a, to me, short period of time from this card game that was really only used for people that were wealthy at the time to then this like hidden tool for divination that has these occult secrets, this, Egyptian magic. And then now to be so widely available to those that may not be witchy, that are just spiritual, or vice versa. So it's had an evolution from a deck of cards to now a tool for reflection.
I mean, I feel like there's still people I know that are very comfortable with it. And then I have other people in my world that if I pull out a deck, they're just like, oh, and it's interesting to see like how it can still be seen in different lights even now. Because to me, I guess when I started working with the tarot, I guess I didn't really, maybe I was naive, but I didn't realize people had fear of it. Because to me, I mean, it's cards with pictures and messages, and I don't really know how people find it to be evil or scary.
Yeah, that was something I was also not prepared for, because I grew up in such a different bubble where anything mystical was not scary. It was, my parents were very much of universal consciousness. So there was nothing scary. Like I grew up with my mom talking to spirits and me talking to spirits, and nothing in the universe was innately scary or evil. It was like human in their intentions, right? So with the tarot, to me, it was always just this amazing universal language of experiences where you could see your experiences on a deck of cards and you could connect with those experiences. You could reflect with them. You could have conversations with them, right? Which is how the book came to be. It was sitting down at the table. I think there's even a book by Llewellyn of like kitchen table tarot. Like it really was about sitting down and just having a chat with the girls over cards. And, if you wanted to divine the future, there was always this disclaimer of like, future's fluid, and I was raised on, there was no bad cards, just really bad readings. And that's kind of been my like foundation of where I stand with the scary cards or, oh my gosh, there's death and the devil. And I'm like, you experience these moments in your life every day or at least once a week. So there's nothing scary. It's really not.
What do you find to be the biggest misconception people have at this point? Is there something that you encounter more frequently?
I think the most is that the cards are set in stone predictions. That tends to be what really, for my clients that come to me that are maybe first time sitters, they really are scared that I am going to flip over a card and it is going to be a destined carved in stone meaning for them, right? Event, right? Especially if they see death or the devil, or I mean, even some people that have a really tough relationship with authority, even the emperor can be a lot for them. So it's been interesting helping my clients deconstruct that and really realize that this is so fluid, that your experiences are fluid. To me, time is very fluid. And we are just sitting here having a conversation with your inner self right now, and really going through and integrating what's happening to you through this deck of cards is how I tend to read, unless I have a more magical client that's like, no, I want to do witchcraft. And I'm like, well, let's put on our hats. Like, let's do it. Like I will shift so quickly when I know that they want that and that they feel safe in that container. That's when I'll be like, yeah, these are magical items, but it just depends on their comfortability.
Yes. Yes.
Yeah.
So can you kind of just give an overview of the cards and how the structure is and how they're laid out?
Oh, yeah. So we have the major arcana, which is 0 to 22. That is starts at the Fool, ends at the World. Those are, traditionally named the trump cards. They're the major energy, the major influence. They're the archetypes. So in my book, I break down the word archetype because I think people understand, but they overcomplicate it. The major arcana is supposed to speak to you on such a universal subconscious level that in your head what is associated with an emperor. When you connect, your knowledge with the empress and the lore and the mythology of an empress, like you automatically can gather the meaning of the card, the energy of that card. Same with the sun, right? Like they are, the blueprints of their energy. And then you have the minor arcana. So this is the 56 everyday moments of, to me, the human experience. I think I got those numbers right. We'll see. The human experience. So that is, when I'm teaching people tarot and they have a hard time with the minor arcana or the pip cards, it's really about getting them to see where they show up in their life. So the cups, I tend to really connect with your heart center. So your relationships, your psychic senses, the platonic romantic relationships, your feeling, how you feel, you pouring in, pouring out, right? And then and they're all connected with elements, right? So the cups connected with water, heart center, pouring in, pouring out, water, the unconscious, right? Um, and then you have the wands, which is connected with fire. And think about what lights you up. When you think about fire and you think about wands, I want you to think about your spark, your passions, your creativity. That is your fire center, okay? That is for those that are more spiritual, that is your sacral, baby. That is what you are creating. That's your solar plexus. These cards light you up and they move you forward. You're passionate. And then you have the pentacles, which everyone loves the pentacles, the coins. This is what you're rooted in. So think about things that affect you on a 3D earthbound level. This is your home. This is your body. This is your career. These are things that can impact you every day. And then we have the swords, which tends to be hated on, but I'm an air sign sun. So connect those with air and connect them to your mental body. So the way you think, the way you speak, your truth center, your authority, right? And they show up in everyday life for you. Especially the minor arcana. And then where people tend to kind of get the breakdown is the court cards. So in the minor arcana, there's 4 court cards for each suit. And you have the page, you have the knight, you have the queen, and you have the king. And, my clients are always like, Sam, these all look the same. And I'm like, that's the point. Like that, really think about, they have influence over their suit. So when you pull the Queen of Cups, she's influencing you, she's nurturing you on an emotional level, your relationships, right? Your heart center. When you pull the King of Swords, well, obviously, King, you automatically associate that with authority over your mind, over his truth. He's speaking, he says what he means, and he means what he says, right? Like no one is influencing the way that man speaks and the way he thinks. Like, I love the Queen of Swords, even though she gets hated on. I think she's such a baddie. And then, the Queen of Pentacles or the Knights, people like get confused with the Knights. And I always tell my clients, where there's horses, there's movement. That's the easiest thing for you to, you know what I mean?
Yeah, yes.
That symbolism. I
Mhm.
think when it comes to learning the tarot, the one thing that it was only 1 page in the book, and it's probably one of the biggest things in the book, is like my method of teaching is to break down. It's like 4 questions to ask yourself with each card on how to learn to read tarot. And I think my approach is the easiest approach for people that might be neurodivergent like me, is really breaking it down and asking yourself every single card these 4 questions.
Okay, I love that.
Yeah.
Thank you for that little overview. Very, very
Of
helpful.
course.
So let's get into this conversational method. So when you say we should have conversations with our cards instead of trying to memorize the meanings, because I think a lot of people, they get overwhelmed because they're like, okay, I just need to sit here and memorize every single meaning, which it does feel like a lot. I mean, I know that the same thing, like with me and my crystals, like it just feels like a lot. Like you can't memorize the meaning of every single crystal. A lot of it just has to feel very like intuitive too. So what do you mean by having a conversation with your cards?
So I think this has become like an overcomplicated aspect of the book. And like, it's so funny because people are like, this isn't anything new, or this is just another Tarot 101. And I love that. Honestly, I love that people view it as beginner friendly, because that's exactly the intention was, but it was a different type of beginner friendly, because I think a lot of times, a lot of the beginner books are books that they give you memorization techniques. They give you methods of how to connect to the cards in a more defined, like, academic method. And the conversational method was really born out of me being neurodivergent. And I may not remember someone's name, but I'm going to remember what they said and what I replied to. And I'm going to think about it over and over again and be like, oh, Sam, that was so weird. Or did you mean to say that? It's just my anxiety. So, like, I was like, that's how I am with the cards. Like, I remember people's stories. I remember what they have to like bring into a conversation. And that is how I read tarot. It's like when I am sitting down with the Fool, it does not matter the context that I asked, whether it's starting, like, should I leave my job? Should I, you know, go on vacation? The Fool as a person, which is, when you have conversation, you're having a conversation with a person. The conversational method first allows your brain to see them as an individual with their own backstory that you're sitting down with and talking to. So the Fool is always going to give you advice based on just do it. Like, just take the leap of faith. Like, you're overcomplicating this. Let's just have fun. Like, they're naive. And so think of your girlfriends, think of your support system, and what they prompt you when you are seeking their advice. It's a more like talk therapy type of approach to tarot. Is like, they're going to give you prompt questions, right? Like, well, why are you scared? Right? If it's in reverse, like, well, why are you scared to start over? And it's like, yeah, you're right. Like, let me reflect on that. Why am I scared? Like, what is actually happening? And so instead of seeing them as these just images on a card that you have to sit down and memorize everything about, it's more like you get to know the Fool as a person and then hear their advice from their perspective. And the way to bridge that gap then during the conversation is to be like, when have I actually been the Fool in my life? Like, when have I experienced the same things that they may be experiencing? It's that empathy, right? It's that connection that your brain is trying to make when it comes to connecting with others, like humans. Like, we try to, especially those with ADHD, like, I try to relate your experience to my experience. So that I am like you and you are like me and we can bond, right? It's the same thing with the tarot and the conversation method. It's really about like, you get to know the Fool gives you advice and you're like, yes, I have experienced this before because I went through this. And then you'll always remember the Fool no matter what, because you're like, I've been there. I did that before, right?
Mm-hmm. I
So
love
it's this
that part.
3-part process.
Yeah, I love that part in your book where you give your own personal experiences, because that really just, like you said, that makes it so much more relatable. I'm like, oh, okay, let me think about it in that way. So how does this process work? You have 4 questions you recommend asking each card?
So yeah,
Or
so
how do you
that is before the conversational approach. So some people need to learn the symbolism. Like, I kind of wanted it to be, I have so many artists in my life that they really influence the way I see the world now. And they look at the colors, they look at the background, they look at the elements. And it was this really beautiful way of learning the card if you needed to get a more intuitive approach. Like, if you wanted to approach tarot in a more intuitive way, but have a foundation, it was really like asking yourself, what is the color of the background? And what does that tell you, right? So the first question is always, what is the color of the background? We have like the Queen of Pentacles is like the first card I pulled, which is funny. So we have the Queen of Pentacles, the background is yellow. What does that mean to you? What does, on an intuitive level, what does that say to you, right? And then it's always, okay, what is happening in the background? Like, what is the landscape? Because unfortunately, I tried to rebel for so long and not use the Rider-Waite-Smith, but it is the best beginner deck. It's going to give you the foundation for especially modern tarot reading. And so you're able to look at that. You're able to look at what's the color of the background, what's the landscape of the background, what are the non-human elements, and then what is the human doing? Those are the 4 questions that really, if you sit down with your cards and just ask yourself those and write notes and journal. I am a journal girly pop. You will be so surprised at how quickly you understand the cards. Like you build this
Mm-hmm.
bond with them. And
It
then when
is
you're
true.
going into it.
Yeah, I mean, it's true. I mean, because I think a lot of times we think that we need, like, it is nice to have the guide, right? The guidebook and to confirm. But a lot of times, if you just look at the symbolism, you look at the pictures and what do you feel from it? What are you getting from it? So often, and you'll journal. I'm a journal girly too. I'll write it down and then I'll read what it's about. And it's almost very, very similar.
Yeah. And it builds your confidence. It builds your confidence. Like my majority of my teaching is teaching tarot. And so it's always about building that foundation first. And that's what those 4 questions are for. It's giving you a foundation and then getting you to be confident in your intuition and what you're already kind of pulling. And then you get to start to have the conversations with the cards, get to know their story, connect that story to you. And then boom, you're like not having to use the guidebook. You're reaching for your cards because they're so familiar to you. You've connected with their story on a real level, on a human level. And you're like, you know what? I'm having a tough time with my boss right now. I need to sit down with the emperor. I need to sit down with the authority figure that can represent my boss and talk to him on a level that to me speaks. I can say the things and get the advice that I wish I could say with my boss, right? Get that more intuitive conversation that you might be scared to have in real life, but it gives you that confidence to do so.
And how do you feel about reversals? I feel like, in your book, you do have the reversal prompt questions. Do you recommend that people, when they're first learning, do you recommend them to also read reversals, or do you recommend to just kind of start with just kind of like straight across the board and not read reversals in the beginning?
I think it depends on where they're at in comfortability. If they are being called to look in reversals and see things from a different perspective, I always want to nurture that curiosity. But if they're intimidated by them, I don't recommend it just because one of my mentors, she has never read reversals in her 30 years of reading tarot. She just doesn't do it. And she is consistently booked and busy. No one has a problem with her readings. It always lands with her clients. So it really is just personal preference. But I think you have to be aware of your capacity. You have to be aware of, is this making me not reach for my deck because I don't want to learn reversals? Then take that pressure off the table, right? Whatever allows you to approach your deck more often is the right approach because you're building a relationship with your deck. And pick one deck that you resonate with. I do recommend starting with the, Rider-Waite-Smith just because it reflects back to you a more known experience, an experience that you can recognize versus a deck that is an artistic interpretation. That is, to me, a more advanced approach if you feel as though it is blocking you. Like I've had hundreds of clients, you guys, thousands of clients that have really been like, I didn't learn tarot because I just couldn't connect with the deck, even though it was beautiful. And I'm like, okay, that's step one. We need to get you a deck a learning deck for you. And then you can, once you have your foundation, you can get the most beautiful deck you've ever seen in your life and use that as your deck. I have a client deck and that I use with my clients, and I have a personal deck. And my personal deck is gorgeous and artistic and beautiful. And my client deck is the Rider-Waite Smith, and she's old, crusty, and dusty, and she hits every single time. She's amazing.
That's such good advice. It is really good advice. I have the Rider-Waite Smith deck. I mean, I have lots of decks. A lot of them I just like because I like the art of them, but I don't connect with them in any way. I just think they're kind of cool. And then the other one I love to work with is this one, because I feel like the symbolism is very similar, but it's just a little bit more modern. But yeah, I think that's really great advice with the reversals. I mean, because I think if you're feeling overwhelmed by that, then that could be a barrier for entry. But I like in your book how you just offer some questions to consider with the reversals.
Yes, I am all about introspection through questioning.
Yes.
Like I think it's the most accessible form of really being able to go inward that doesn't scare people, and just
Yes.
asking them different questions of, allowing them to kind of reflect back on their interpretations and how they're viewing a situation. And I think that's been the most beneficial for myself and for my students.
Yes. So within your book, you have chapter 2 is called Meeting the Major Arcana, and kind of goes through all of that. And then, so the major arcana, when we're talking about that, these are like the full arc of our lives. Does that sound correct?
Yeah, it's known as the Fool's Journey.
Mm-hmm.
And one of the methods that I teach is you being the fool, because a lot of times people personify their lives through others. And so being able to make it personal to you makes
Mm-hmm.
it memorable, because we all tend to live our lives through our lens, right? And our experiences. And so being able to put yourself in the footsteps of the fool allows you to see how you have this beginning, naive, like newborn energy into this world. And as he travels, he's gaining these experiences. He's speaking to these mentors. He's, really aging and evolving. And it is the story of your life. It is a story of you being innocent and naive and just so unprepared for life, but ready to go, right? It's giving really like you're such a teenager and you're like, you can't tell me what to do, mom. You know what I mean? Like that's the
Yes.
energy of the fool. And then you get to sit down and learn from these established energies that are ancient, that have been around since the dawn of time. I mean, come on, the Empress, like, the High Priestess, the ancient knowledge, like this has been established knowing. And so you get to learn from these individuals. And then, we see the full change with the Chariot and move and grow and take all this knowledge and leave home and, with a more determined outlook now instead of a more go lucky one. And then just again be met with these energies of death and transformation, and the tower of the what he thought he was and everything he built, was it actually authentic to him, right? Is it authentic to you? And the opening that comes after that. One of my favorite things to tell clients is you can't have the star without the tower. So you really can't be this like open, creative, expressive, authentic version of yourself without the crumbling that comes with the tower. And then it really just evolves from there, of being so reborn as the sun and again being brand new, right? And then really falling into the world and being of both, being brand new and ancient, and just being to me, the world is like the representation of alchemy, of being both, being
Mm-hmm.
all. And that will be you. That is you when you end anything, is you take the lessons you've learned and you move forward. You start anew with all that you have integrated. So it's really just a beautiful reflection, pictorial reflection of our lives. And I think that's what makes it so magical and approachable.
Oh my gosh, I just love that explanation. It's so relatable. And that's the thing, like that's why I get so confused why people are nervous or scared of it. And it's like, well, maybe are you just nervous to look into yourself a little bit? I mean, maybe that's part of it. Of course, there's a lot of misconceptions about divination in general. But when you look at it from the way that you explained it, it's just such an evolution and it's so beautiful and it's so interesting. And I think it's so fun to like, I just love having like those deep, like digging in kind of conversations with people. And I know that makes some people uncomfortable, but I think a lot of the people that I met within this community, they love doing that kind of thing. And then we just get to learn so many cool things about ourselves. And I personally have found that it has just made me so much more confident in myself and feel more comfortable experiencing all of the different emotions of life and, going through life, and not everything goes as planned, but that's okay because you have to go through all these different things in order to get to the other side. And maybe you have this tower moment and you feel like your life is going to crumble, but maybe on the other side of it, your life is going to be so much better than you ever would have imagined before.
Absolutely. The fool is zero for a reason. They can start anywhere in your life. You can always start over. You can always go back to being the naive adventurer, and that's the fun of it.
That is so true. I mean, that's the thing. I mean, people are like, well, I'm too old for this or I'm too old for that. No, you're not. You're never too old to start something. If you feel a call for something, just start. Just start with that curiosity and get excited about something and dive in and see what happens from there. You're never too old. I mean, I've met people from like at conferences and things of all different ages. And I just think it's so fun. I love seeing people that are in their 60s or 70s and they're just starting. Why not? You don't know how many days you have left on this earth. We don't know. I mean, what if you're 70 years old and you're going to live to 105? That's 35 years that you could be doing something that you love. That's a long time.
It's a long time.
I mean, that's a lifetime. I mean, so anyway, that's my 2 cents.
Love it.
Yes. So now getting into the minor arcana, you have 4 whole chapters just dedicated to breaking the minor arcana down, just because there's a lot to get into. And we kind of talked about that a little bit before. So, and then moving on from the minor arcana, you have your chapter 7, which is just about like cementing your personal connection. From that chapter, I would say, how do we start really building our personal connection? Would you just say like picking up cards and journaling about them? Or how do you love to like really cement your personal connection with the cards?
It's really weird because it is person by person. Like, I don't love the like one approach for everyone, just because everyone is so different. Like in my work, a lot of it is nervous system work and body based work. So a lot of times people feel this pull towards doing something or integrating something in their routine that they don't have the capacity to do. And so it fails. And then they feel like they have failed, right? When it was kind of not going to work anyways, where they are in their life. So it really depends on their current routine. Like if you are someone that you love a routine, you love a schedule, I'm always into adding that time, adding the 10 minutes a day if you have that capacity, and at the beginning of your day or at the end of your day. If you could do both, that's amazing. But really just pulling a card with a prompt question that is actually going to impact you, not a how will my day go, because that's not memorable. That gives the conversation such a closed box. But any, question like the framework of like how, what, where, when, really about like what challenges am I going to have to overcome today? That gives the conversation so much more depth depending on what card you pull, right? It can really speak to you in more broad of terms, basically. But some people don't have it in them to where they can do this every day. And I'm like, okay, that's fine. What about on a Sunday, right before you go to bed? right before you go to bed, everyone, especially if you're a corporate girly pop and you're getting your routine down and you're about to start your week and all you want to do is relax, put the deck right beside you on the couch. Leave it on the little table that's beside your couch that everybody has. Just leave the deck there. Put it in your bathroom to where before you take a shower. I mean, habit stack. There is a way if you're a car rodder. Like I love sitting in the car before I go into places. It just feels yum and warm to me, right? I have a tarot deck in my car. Like, and I will be like, you know what? Before I go in here, let me just take a second. Let me be the weirdo in my car, shuffling cards right quick and pulling some tarot. Like I have a traveling altar in my bag that it's just
Same.
a bag in my bag.
Same.
And yeah, I have a tarot deck in there, like a little mini one. It's so cute,
I
right?
have a mini
Like,
one too.
yeah, like it's about, where are you at and how can tarot be an addition to your life versus an obligation? That's the best approach to like how to build a personal connection is to really be honest about what you have the space to do and then putting it in that path of where you're already automated, you already have your routine and just seeing the visualization of the cards there and be like, "Oh yeah, I have 5 minutes," right?
That's so good. Oh, I'm that girl in my car too. My
Oh.
especially I have two little boys, and my husband will be like, "Did the drop off this morning take a while?" No, no, it did not. I was just sitting out in the car, just having a moment, just having a moment.
Regulating. Just regulating.
Because
Yes, I love it.
well, my little one, he's 3, so I'm not sure where he is with but my husband and my 8-year-old major ADHD, and I don't have that, and so it's just like a lot, a lot.
Bless your heart.
Squirrel, squirrel everywhere, squirrels everywhere. God.
Goodness. Oh, yeah.
Oh
You poor thing. But yeah, really, like you were just out here trying to survive with us
my
being
gosh.
like, what about this? Like,
I know my husband, we were driving home my husband and I work together and we're orthopedic physician assistants and we were at the strike and we were driving home and he is just bop, 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 like all over the place. And I'm just like, dude, I can't handle it. Like you just asked me a question and then you saw some little dot on the roof of some house over there. And now your eyes are over there. And then I'm like, what are you even talking about? Where are we?
what is actually happening? Right.
What's
That
happening
is.
right now?
And, tarot can be such a good tool for people with ADHD. I think that's why my book is the way it is, honestly, because to me, it makes so much sense. Like, it really is such a grounding tool. Like, my husband, who also has ADHD, he cannot use tarot. Like, he truly cannot sit down and actually use the cards, but I need them to ground myself and really train my brain to focus
Mm-hmm.
on one thing because it's so important to have that regulation because one of the downfalls of ADHD is burnout, is, really going hard for something, a hobby, a skill, and putting everything you have into it for a good 10 minutes and then just being like, that was so exhausting, right? So, tarot, the practice of tarot and committing to it has really helped me in other areas of my life have that same devotion, have that same dedication to a future outcome.
Mm-hmm.
And so it's a really good practice to
Mm-hmm.
integrate into your life if you are neurodivergent.
I need a lot of grounding in my house. A lot.
Yeah.
That's why I have like all my stuff everywhere. I'm like, I have to put up my protective barriers to keep the chaos like subdued a little bit. But it's honestly, I just try to laugh, I just try to have fun with them about it because I mean, obviously it's just their brains work very differently than mine and they're very intelligent and, they can get things done in a way that like I couldn't even do sometimes. You're able to go so hard on something like zoom. And I'm just like, wait a minute, but how come we can't keep the kitchen clean? Okay.
Yeah. Yep. If there's a cabinet, it's open because
There's,
we're gone. Sorry.
the other day I found a jar of salsa in with the cups. I was like, oh yeah, oh, okay. So what kind of, do you have like any specific rituals at this point, or is it just so like integrated in in your life that you just pull cards whenever you feel called to do it, or do you have like an actual like practice?
So I am very blessed that my life is lived 100% in magic. So my career is magic, my 9 to 5 is magic, my 5 to 9 is magic. My entire life is ritual. So, and that is such a blessing. It's literally like, what is my life? Like, it is such a privilege. And I honor that in making sure that I am sharing it with as many people that they can also have this life and giving them the tools to be able to have that life. And so every day it's like I wake up and I'm, doing something tarot related or something magic related. And I don't think there's a day that goes by that I'm not pulling tarot or doing some sort of magical working. And that is not the everyday. And it wasn't my everyday for a very long time. I had a very difficult time with my mom and her chronic illness for like 15 years. And it was magic, and the routine, making a routine that worked was really the only thing that kept me sane. So being able to create a routine that is obtainable was first difficult, but so important. So now it really is like I'll wake up and I have a shadow work journal that I do with tarot, and then I have a gratitude journal that I do with tarot. And because I really like to go into the depths and then I bring it back out with gratitude. And that's normally I do that in the morning and I do that at night. And that's just also like my regulation for myself too. And, I have my community that we do so much stuff with tarot and magic. And it's
Oh
really
my
just
gosh.
every day for me is like a really beautiful ritual. And I'm so blessed to have it.
Wow, that just sounds so cool. I truly desire to have more community, I guess. I mean, I guess part of it is like, do I create that myself, or because I just feel like it's where I live, there's just not much around here. But I love how your whole life has become this. I mean, that is it's so cool to see someone that actually does it. I
Cool.
mean,
It's cool. It's
I
cool.
it is cool. I mean, I do like my regular, I mean, I do like my job, my regular job. I would like to cut back at some point because it is, I'm spending a lot of time there and I'm not feeling as compelled to be there all the time. But, you know, because I do love helping people and I do know that like I am a healer, but I'm trying to branch out beyond just like traditional Western healing and into other things. But I think that just that's like one of the hugest things that I love about this podcast is meeting people like you that have like really created a life out of something that they feel so like they get so much joy and passion from. It's really inspiring.
Thank you. It was, I have clients that their job, their 9 to 5 is their passion, and they integrate magic into it. They integrate tarot into it. And I have other ones in community, other clients that this is their full-time gig too. And so it really just depends on what sparks your joy, like what is fueling your fire. And for me, it was never like corporate just because I want to be able to be frolicking in the woods at 2 o'clock. And that's just who I am. Like that's just what I
Me
want to
too.
do. I want to go forest picking. Like we want to go look for mushrooms. Like, and I've just been able to find friends and use the tools needed to do that. And I also have like, my husband who is a corporate girly pop. So he, my experience is not everyone's experience, believe me. But that's what he loves to do. Like he loves IT. He loves working in technology. And even though he is very witchy and very spiritual, he would never give up one for the other. He likes to do both. And so when I have clients that are like, oh, I kind of want to leave, but I kind of don't. And I'm like, well, let's work on integration first and see if that fuels your fire. And then if it's not, then I am always team quit your job, but I'm also very biased because when I quit my job, everything worked out for me, right? But that's not everyone's experiences. And I, acknowledge that completely. And takes a long time to build up to this. It takes a long time. I've been doing this, since 2018. And I will continue to do it. Like, it's very much a building upon over time type of goal. And I'll never not be doing something witchy and spiritual, like, ever. So it's just about how can I do that successfully, continue to do it successfully.
And I think that it just seems to me that the space for this, people are becoming more accepting to some level about these things. And I think people are looking at times for different types of spiritual connection, because I know for me, like growing up with part of my family being very Catholic and part of my family being Presbyterian, and I would go to church and I would go to do all these things, and I just never had a connection. And I felt like such a loss of a spiritual connection for most of my life. And then, finding something, I think everybody's path is a little bit different. And, finding that connection is so important. And then to be able to create something out of it to help other people, help them find their actual connection and what they want to do with their life. Or do they want this just to be a spiritual path for them? Or do they actually want to build something out of it? That's really cool. Now, I know that aside from the book, you have other offerings. Can you kind of talk to us a little bit about like what other things that you are involved with? I know you have a community. Tell us about that.
Yeah, so my main focus right now is the Ritual Garden, which is an online community space. It's kind of a hybrid. It's online and in person. So a lot of the members are here in Georgia with me, that I've met through teaching. So I teach at Equinox Provisions in Woodstock, Georgia. That's where my tarot office is located. That's where I take appointments for tarot and Reiki. And I teach full time there. So I've met so many incredible women that don't have community, that don't have a container where they can be their whole selves. And I'm very different in the fact that I am spiritual, witchy, and really, really into self-development. So I am all about nervous system work. I am all about inner child healing, therapy. Like, I'm the holistic coach in me just is such a huge part of who I am. So it's a very different space, the Ritual Garden. Like, one Tuesday we'll be doing a ritual for Samhain, and then the next Tuesday we're doing like body-based somatic breathing, like to calm your nervous system. Or I'm teaching a tarot class. So, or we have a guest speaker coming to talk about astrology and teach about what's your divine path through your human design. We really, my members, we get to play in all of the different modalities that exist. And then they get to take what they learn and create their own journey that they share. Some members don't do anything witchery and they only do the body-based practices, and that's their journey, and they get to come play with us. And then other members are only there for tarot. And so they're learning from me. I'm helping them with their tarot practice, and hopefully they're going to write their own tarot books and be on doing tarot lives. Like, the goal is just, when I created the community, was just to have a central hub for people that didn't fit in a certain box, that their practice didn't fit over here or fit in this, that it was a mix, and that they were able to enter a space where they got to get exposure to all of the areas that they wanted to play in. And they get to take what they like and leave what they don't, and know that they're safe and they're not judged for just being themselves and having their own practice. And it's been the most magical thing I've ever done. And it's really my main focus right now because of how impactful it's been for everyone.
Wow.
And yeah, I just can't. I love it so much. Yeah. So
That
that's the
is so
main thing right now, is
cool.
the Ritual Garden.
Wow, the Ritual Garden. Okay, guys, we all have to go check out the Ritual Garden. That truly sounds like my dream. To be part of a community like that, it just sounds like a dream, because I feel a lot of times like I'm just over here on this little island all by myself. I don't have any like witchy friends where I live. Everybody I know is spread out. I do have friends within the community, but nobody like local to me. And honestly, that's okay. We can communicate so easily now through different, online and things like that it's okay. My day-to-day life is honestly so busy with everything else going on that connecting in this way feels good. But then, when you're traveling and you go places, then you can actually meet these people in real life. And that's been really fun too. Like I've gotten to meet a lot of, like in real life guests from the podcast, and like that has been awesome too. So I'm so proud of you. That just sounds, just like such a dream. Congratulations.
Thank you. We literally just had a meetup where we did photos. So we did a photo shoot. People flew in and drove in, and they got to have, they got to get like their own solo photo shoot moment. And then we did like a group photo shoot. So it's been amazing. It's been, for crystal girlies as well as for people that, are more advanced and they want to learn about ceremonial magic. And then we have numerology. So it's just a mixed bag, but I really definitely recommend checking it out because we have a lot of fun in there.
It sounds so cool. So I feel like we've covered a lot of ground today and I love it. I could literally talk to you forever. I want to be your friend.
Yes.
I want to be your friend.
Let's be friends. I always need more friends, believe me.
Yeah, this has just been such a great conversation. So where can listeners find you? Where can they find your book? Where can they find you online? Like all the things. And I just want to point out her website is, oh my God, is so beautiful. I love your photos. Like I'm building a website and I'm like, I'm taking inspiration because I just love like the colors and like the, just that mystical, magical, like beautiful vibe from it. Oh my gosh.
Thank you.
It's everything.
I'm definitely in my magician era right now. If I had to be like a major arcana, definitely the magician. But no, you can find me everywhere at Samantha Rose Tarot. On TikTok, Instagram. Instagram's more curated. TikTok's more Wild Wild West.
I gotta get on your TikTok.
My website is samantharosehicks.com. The Patreon is like, that's where the Ritual Garden is Patreon. It's patreon.com/Samantha Rose Tarot. You can find Talking with the Tarot at llewellyn.com. You can find it at bookshop.org. Yes, bookshop.org.
So cute. Oh my gosh, the cover is like, I just love I'm a girl for a cover. I will judge by its cover. I'm sorry.
And your so important. Thank you. Thank you so much. The artist that did it is an icon. And then I'll be doing a guest spot with Amityville Apothecary. So my book's with them right now. I think I'm going to be on their podcast in December. So definitely support your local witchy bookstores.
Yes.
But yeah, thank you so much for having me here. Oh my gosh, I had the best time ever.
Fun. This was so fun. What a dream. I love like just finding cool people like yourself and then just getting to connect with you. And then I just I do it selfishly. Let's just be real. Like I do this selfishly because I see people and I'm like, ooh, I want to be friends with her. So let's bring her on the podcast.
I love it. And I have so many cool people to introduce you to. Don't worry.
Yay. So you guys, I'm going to put all of her links in the show notes. So if you want to connect with Sam, go to everywhere that she says. We're going to check out her online community. I know I am for sure today. If this conversation connected with you or any of your witchy friends in any way, please share it. Please pick up her book. It's so good. It's so easy to read. It's so relatable. It's not, some of these tarot books are like heavy and they're hard to get through. This one, you can literally just pick up the book and I just sit in bed at night and I just read it like a book. That's the part I love about it, that it doesn't necessarily feel like a textbook. Like you're just reading it and it's fun and enjoyable. And you get all of her personal relationship to the cards, which I think is really, really special too. So Sam, thank you so much. I have really, really appreciated having you here today. And thank you.
Thank you, guys. Thank you.
All right, guys. Bye.
Bye.
Thank you so much for jumping down the rabbit hole with me. If you connected with this episode in any way, I would love it if you could share it with a friend. Also, please tag me on social media. I'm at mystical.mama.ash or at Big Crystal Energy Podcast, mostly on Instagram. It helps so much getting my episodes out there and finding more magical, kooky, and spooky friends. Sending you all Big Crystal Energy. Cheers!